Good day to everybody. I am here with my colleague, Professor Yechiel Rosenfeld, who is a civil engineer and mostly deals with building economics. We present this idea, which we cooperate on for, I don't remember how long, possibly 15 years or more. The Olympic Flotilla, floating transportable array of sport facilities to rent for mega sport events. The conference takes place in Japan, who is already after an experience, and some accept it as a national ecstasy, some look at it as some kind of a little disaster in development. I would like to start with a citation of Bucky Fuller's, "Let's be the architects of the future and not its victims," because it can't last as it is now. Sport industry and mass entertainment and recreation through sport enter the globalization era. In fact, they entered it few decades ago. The revival of the Olympic legacy and spirit by Coubertin's vision started a chain of Olympic and other mega sport world events with an ever-increasing impact on human, cultural, educational, and economic, social, political sphere. The Coubertin's vision envisaged a world activity and shared experience, and he denied any sort of discrimination. And in the Olympic Charter, any form of discrimination with regard to a country or a person on grounds of race, religion, politics, gender, economy, or otherwise is incompatible with belonging to the Olympic movement. But the harsh reality is that most of world's nations, and it's about 85% or more, are incapable of hosting a major sport event, mostly on economical grounds because of the inhibitive costs of sport facilities, required infrastructures, and event operational expenditure. Now we follow the experiences of some hosting nations, and some acknowledge already that the facilities they built for that mega event remain as white elephants afterwards. The rising expenditure of the Olympics, mostly on facilities designed for peak events. Sydney Olympics, $6 billion of that time. Athens Olympics, $14.6 billion, a calamity from which Athens didn't recover yet. Beijing Olympics, $23 million. The figures of the Japan experience are not complete yet. There are many assumptions, but we will be astounded to see the real numbers later. Most of the facilities have to be scaled down after the events. In Sydney, the Olympic Stadium was prepared for 110 thousands of viewers, and then after it was scaled down to 70 and even 70,000 spectators is an event that Sydney will go through once in 3 or 4 years. Now, the suggested idea concept is to realize and construct a modular array of floating, transportable, state-of-the-art Olympic facilities capable of traversing the oceans, which could be borrowed, rented by the interested hosting nations of mega sport events, Olympic Games included. It means from the Olympics down, for the duration of the event, to be moored in proximity of major port cities or mega port cities and reasonably protected coastal marine environments. The suggested fleet should be realized as an economically viable enterprise, which should generate reasonably sufficient income from its mega sport and auxiliary activities to cover and maintain its operation. Key contribution is the dramatically increased operational frequency, which is denied in the case of land-based facilities, and not just operational frequency, but the frequency of transportation experienced by individuals all around the world. That's a observation of the mega events for 2005, football not included, and it counts 171 mega events. Today, the number of mega events soar to many more hundreds. And I should tell, it's not just sport, it's also political events, social events of various kinds and colors. Music. Given the worldwide trend of the economic growth of sport industry, the growth in the annual frequency and number of mega events, the growth in the numbers of spectators and their spending and related impacts on economic profitability, the growing world demand, third world expected demand to be included. The Olympic flotilla will have to be replicated to cover operationally the whole global expanses with all their humanity. So I don't think the world will be able to depend on just one flotilla. For every geographical mega environment, we should prepare a flotilla of its own. Here you see the North European taking and connecting from the White Sea and as far as Urals, Archangelsk, and all the way to Spain and Portugal on the Atlantic. The Mediterranean, benefiting about 450 millions of people, of course, Russia included, from the Black Sea to the to Porto harbor. Next. And so few such fleets could be operational. It will not happen in 1 year. Maybe it will take about 2 or 3 decades to evolve. The problem is that most of humanity is in countries which are bordering on the marine ocean system. Just few countries are without access, direct access to the sea, and they can cooperate with coastal countries to host such big events. Technology has matured tremendously since the concept of mega floats was first introduced by Armstrong in the 20s. Given today's technology in marine engineering and space structures, we are limited only by our imagination. Yeah. The envisaged floating modules might include the central stadium, of course, and everyone thinks and asks about the central stadium, equipped to serve up to 120 or 150,000 spectators. Auxiliary sport facilities modules for various branches of sports, water sports included, 1 or 2 Olympic village modules, and participants and visitors accommodation, urban modules with all the servicing and infrastructures, media studios and laboratories, communication and research centers, and administration module. And I would like to add international sport university, which might benefit enormously for an attachment to such a flotilla. Of course, the hosting countries will have to contribute something. They will have to prepare the accessibility solution to the flotilla. There are many ways. Here you see just one possible solution of a bridge avenue which leads to the moored flotilla modules. Maybe it will be 2 such bridges or 3. And of course, anchorage provided in advance. Next. In cross-section, you can see the floating hotel facility, transportable Olympic village, the floating transportable Olympic stadium, and so on. We have so many possible opportunities to show the space facilities, in fact, analyzed by Mero in Germany in 1986. And they came up with a conclusive decision that I should run and patent it immediately because it's the idea of these space mega floor structures are sound. Yeah, Yechiel is trying to show. Here is the Mero analysis in 86, and here is a structure. The amount of material stretched over 5 floors is the same as the octatruss. You can see here the typical solution used even today. Next. What happened? Huh? The suggested ocean-going platforms are not just transportation, but mostly living and working environment, which should be much of land normalcy as possible. The overriding criterion, besides safety and security of the entire array, is far-reaching compactness, which implies special attention to morphologically and functionally efficient and detailed solutions on a conceptual level were used. 150,000 spectators. If you provide the dish structure, we tried to make it as compact as possible with shortened free spans. Next. The idea of exoskeletal IPL truss to provide for lateral stability was developed. Controlled permeability to climatic parameters and so on and so
on. Somebody's microphone is open and inserts a lot of background.
Yeah.
Not from here.
It's Charalampos.
Charalampos, please. Okay, thank you.
You have not finished yet.
Yeah.
Just
yes. Someone disturb you. Don't worry.
Okay.
Here it's the stadium module, a kind of a cross section, trying to show the interior and the roof structure, which is a public promenade, hosting many of the servicing for the spectators.
It's a huge megastructure.
Yeah. Some look on the interior and look at the roof structure, which is, structurally speaking, it's like 30 meters deep or 20 meters deep, with cafes and promenades over the stadium.
In conclusion.
The conclusion, the idea of a floating array of Olympic facilities, including the Olympic Stadium, capable of traversing the oceans, is not just a visionary dream, but a stark necessity, which should be realized and made practical. And we have all the facilities, mental facilities and knowledge to make it solved and be practical. The vision could be instrumental in solving a genuine economic problem that prevents the underprivileged nations to host mega sport events, and not just mega sport events, but social, political events as well. And actively contribute to the Olympic experience, thus erasing the only discriminatory factor still marring the Olympic Charter and ethos. We are open to your questions.
Thank you very much, Michael, and all of you, both of you, special thanks to Tamara as well. So thank you very much. I would like to mention that maybe you mentioned Porto, so why not to float it to Porto and to have the Porto Symmetry Congress on your side. Unfortunately, we cannot take to Tohoku University, but we can take nearby. Hungary is excluded, of course, but Australia, Brisbane, that is okay. So anyway, it would be very useful. Any questions, please?
People have to
Michael, please stop showing the screen. You have a button.
I have to
upstairs.
protest. You can come to Sendai with this Olympic flotilla. It is on the Pacific coast.
Yes, Tohoku University is not very far from the coast. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember visiting Tohoku University, and I was shown the wall protecting the Sendai beach from a tsunami wave. It was before the big tsunami, which means we have to press on our imagination, and I again try to show Bucky Fuller's. Let's be the architects of the future and not its victims.
Yes.
Michael, would you be so kind to stop sharing
Yes,
the screen?
yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
Takashi Yoshino suggests the beautiful beach near Sendai. Okay. Not to the campus, but not very, very far. You know, University of New South Wales is on the on the coastal area, but Indian Ocean. Okay, any question, please? Please show with your hand. We have some architects with us. Akio, for example. Any question? Akio, do you have questions?
Weise. And my
Dimitri, please.
congratulations to him.
Dimitri, unmute.
Okay.
Okay.
Very glad to see you. Здравствуй, Миша. Я тебя очень рад видеть. Живым и здоровым.
I translate from Russian to English, so he is very happy to see Michael and he is healthy. In English, please, something.
Thank you, Dimitri. Spasiba.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that I will be English-Russian translator, but why not?
I wish to add
When I will see you and I take your hand to
Okay.
massage.
Sorry, Dima. Moscow is excluded, but St. Petersburg is okay from point of view of the coastal area.
I am sorry the Olympic flotilla couldn't reach Moscow.
Okay.
Yes, this is my point.
I have a gift by Darka, a little ship, a little ship. For my birthday, I have a gift, a little by Darka.
Aha.
Yes.
Boat.
Can I use your knowledge in leading of this ship or not?
My colleague Yechiel wants to add a remark.
Yeah, I wish to say that I'm working with Michael for many years, mainly on the practical engineering and economic aspects. This is actually a very practical outcome of his theoretical and more abstract thinking that you will see, and most of you are familiar with, which he will present in his next speech in about an hour and a half. But this was the more practical outcome, and hopefully the world will take it seriously to really prevent this unnecessary economic disaster on almost every hosting country, not necessarily hosting city. Some cities like Barcelona had more benefit than damage, but Spain as a whole was deep in deficit, and many others were also in deficit. So really, it is quite practical to gather cruise ships as floating hotels, to to add to the
Flotilla.
yes, I mean to the building blocks, the major building blocks of the flotilla, and more of the same thinking. The flotilla doesn't have to come to a destination as a whole complex. It is also possible
Yes,
for
separate.
a bit smaller events to divide the flotilla and use part of it for some circus. I don't know, whatever it is necessary. So there will be an operating company to operate the flotilla and have a schedule booking way before the time, and it can really traverse the oceans, and even if necessary, from a different ocean with proper preparation, they can come to help a huge event if necessary. So the idea is to have several such groups of floating facilities for big events. They can be gathered, they can be divided, they can be spread, going for regular maintenance, etc.
So there are more modules, and modules can be united as you wish. It is very important. So thank you very much. Our time is over.
One
But
word.
there will be a second lecture by Michael. Okay, Marcin, do you have a question?
No, I just wanted to say that this would be great for instance, floating university or floating congresses or conferences.
Yes, I suggest the next joint SIS for SI and SIS Congress or Summit will be at Yehiel and Michael's floating campus.
Yes, really, Michael suggested, for instance, that a floating university can go after the pleasant weather. So it will go from one place to another place, following the pleasant
eternally spend time in the summer
or spring.
With your wife, Tamara.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Dmitry, sorry, our time is over. So I would like to thank you. Oksana sent a message. Oksana sent a message, which is very important, Yehiel and Michael, that the medical check is very important. Michael, are you here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oksana sent a message, Oksana Cherkashina. It is very important to have the medical check on such place. It is a crucial problem right now, as you know. And I don't know, do you know the big disaster which happened in Hungary? A Ukrainian floating hotel killed on the river Danube about 22 Korean tourists in a small ships, because a floating hotel went over a small ship. The floating hotel was very big. The ship on the river Danube was small and killed all of the Korean tourists near the Margaret Bridge in Budapest. It was a terrible event. When you visit Budapest next time, there is a memorial of the place. Okay, so thank you very much again, Yehiel and Michael. Michael, you will be back a little bit later and we may continue the discussion.